All right. A disappointing one here in Boston.
Yeah.
The
These fans are
Celtics,
so disappointed. They don't even want to leave yet, Jimmy. They're so mad.
they're stunned. They're sitting there stunned, just like Joe Sway is at the Garden. We got Joe Sway at the Garden. We got Bobby at the Garden. We got Sherrod at the Garden. We got John at the Garden. All stunned right now. The Celtics drop Game 4 to the Golden
Squad.
State Warriors, 107-97. Disappointing is the word that comes to mind. Frustrating comes to mind. Sloppy. I mean, opportunity lost. I mean, we can go on and on, and we will. We'll be here with you guys for a bit here tonight. Not the Friday night, certainly that anybody here in Boston wanted, but it's the one we got.
Man.
So we'll do our best to guide you through the rest of your night here, entering the weekend. Tough one, Joe Sway. You were there. The energy certainly was also there on the TD Garden end of things. But Boston, and this is the thing about the Celtics, you can give them all the credit in the world for the way they respond to losses, but the way they respond to wins might
Oh
be
man.
even more of a story, because these guys just can't string together wins. When they get a little bit of a gift, a little bit of a lead in a series, they give it right back. And tonight, they had a golden opportunity. Steph Curry aside, the Warriors gave you guys so many chances to go on a run, to take a lead, to instill your will on them. And the Celtics just didn't take advantage of that. And instead of going to Golden State with a 3-1 series lead, they give home court back. They give the momentum back. And now they're traveling to the West Coast to play a team that's been there, done that many, many times. And man, this is why we were all so hesitant to say this one's over. Bobby was right on the brink.
Look what you did. You did that. All right. You peer pressure.
I know.
You peer pressure that.
I made him do that. That one's on me. But here we are. It's 2-2. Joe Sway, give me. What are you hot on? What are your thoughts going into the show tonight?
Yeah, Jimmy. I think you nailed it right there. That this fourth quarter collapse. And you know what? I thought this game was going to be the outlier. Like, sure, it was still relatively close. Sure, the third quarter the Celtics could have played better, but they stuck with it. They kept themselves in front of. They kept the Warriors at bay for as much as they could. It seemed like they tried to survive that Steph Curry onslaught of 3-pointers in the third quarter, and then the timely ones in the fourth is what really did them in. Now it's interesting because heading into this one, everyone was asking who's going to be the other guy, right? Who's going to be the secondary scorer? Who's going to help Steph Curry out there because they need other guys to step up. And Steve Kerr rather was asked about Jordan Poole. Could he be one of those guys? And he wouldn't. He was reluctant to say that because he was like, look, it's going to be about the defense. The defense is going to lead the offense, and then it's going to be whoever's open, and we'll let the offense dictate that. But until we string together stops, until we can really lock down the way we did in game 2, we don't have a shot in this. And that's exactly what happened in this one, Jimmy. Right? Those stops in the fourth quarter. I mean, combined with the timing 3-pointers. The incredible shots that Steph Curry was making, I mean, that's what pushed them. That's what pushed the Warriors ahead. And all of a sudden, they were flirting with a double-digit lead, and it was too little, too late. I mean, look, the Celtics went scoreless for almost 4 minutes. Like, this is the Celtics team that cannot, come back and try to eliminate their mistakes. Not against this team. Steph Curry's going to make you pay, and I think that's exactly what happened in that fourth quarter. The offense ran dry. Al Horford hit a big 3 down the stretch. Made up for the one that he missed right before that timeout, but then that was it. The Warriors went on their run, and this is what I was worried about. This was that type of game I was worried about because the Celtics, when they win, they win big. It's rare that they get themselves in these situations. At least in this series, it's been a blowout win one way or the other up until this point. And I had a feeling this game was going to come down to the wire. I had a feeling the Celtics were going to have to do some sort of game-ending run that they wanted to survive this, and they just couldn't put it together.
And what have we said about this Celtics team? You can't take quarters off, halves off against the Warriors. You can get away with it against the Heat. Mm-hmm. You even got away with it against the Bucks. You can't get away with it against the Warriors because of one guy and one guy only. His name is Stephen Curry. He's going to go down as an all-time great. And if the Warriors end up winning the NBA Finals, he'll get his first NBA Finals MVP for performances like tonight. I mean, what did he end up with? 43 points tonight.
43.
There was one superstar on the court tonight, and it was Steph Curry. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of people upset at the Celtics superstar, Mr. First Team All-NBA Jason Tatum, who was just off from start to finish tonight. I mean, you were begging any of Jason Tatum's shots to go down. And I know he's ended up with, 23 points. That's below average for a guy like Jason Tatum.
Yeah, but it took him 23 shots to get there, Jimmy. You know what that reminded me of?
That's horrible.
That's some Kobe vibes right there.
Yeah, well, hey, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. He's gonna go to bed tonight happy if you tell him that. So,
but we saw that game. We saw that game from Kobe so many times. Obviously, we saw the spectacular side, but he had a lot of games like this. You know,
any superstar gets into shot chucking mode, even when they're not. And honestly, when you're a star, you got to keep shooting. Hope to God that you get out of the slump. Tatum was off tonight, and it's too bad because if he just played okay, the Celtics win this game. You were just hoping that
I agree with that.
No, I mean that I think that's a fact. Anyone would agree with that.
No, you're right. But
we've seen this from Tatum, though. We have seen from Tatum, as good as he is. We've seen the performances that are just so off, and you're just like, how can he go from Jekyll and Hyde like this? It's the consistency. It's that you want to have somebody that you can depend on night in, night out. And tonight, unfortunately, wasn't his night. He knows it. He'll be the first one to tell you that, I'm sure, after the game. And the Celtics are going back to Golden State 2-2 because of it. It's really that simple. I mean, the Celtics are here because of Tatum and Brown. Of course, there's been Al Horford nights and there's been Marcus Smart nights. But Tatum and Brown are the reason you're in the NBA Finals. They've been your two best players all season long, all playoffs long, and you need them to continue that on if you're going to have a chance against the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry did his thing tonight. He put the team on his back with a bad foot, a bad ankle, whatever you want to call it. That's the mark of a superstar player right there.
It is, Jimmy. But it's unfortunate because his sidekick or his in Jaylen Brown put together a heck of a performance. He was solid, he was consistent.
To the fourth.
But you talk about timely errors. He's one of them. I mean, that turnover down the stretch. It was a lead pass that was a little too ahead of him, and he tried to collect it, and that right in front of the Warriors bench, and just coughed it up. I mean, that was a big turnover. That was a big moment in this game.
Totally. Tatum had 6 too.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what I mean, though, right? It's like Jaylen. This was a great opportunity for him to sort of just fill in for those mistakes, right? It made Tatum knock down a 3 down the stretch and opens up a 6-point lead or something like that. But the Celtics just couldn't do it. The offense just ran dry. And I felt like when they really needed just a bucket, just a layup, if they just moved the ball around the way we saw them doing it in the first quarter, they would have been better for them. They start going for threes as if it's 30 seconds left on the clock. Like I just didn't get that approach.
They got into shot chucking mode. They tried.
Yeah, they got into shot chucking mode. They get into panic mode. And then you think about it, Jimmy. When's the last time they've been in this situation? The Miami series? That feels like weeks ago, right? But the Celtics have to be more disciplined than that. Otherwise, that's going to be the narrative of this one. If the Warriors were to go and win this, it's going to be, oh, well, when it came down to it, when it came to those end of the play games, those big time plays, the Warriors got the edge. So I guess experience does matter, right? I mean, going into this one, that was the last thing we wanted to admit. But obviously, in those situations, sure, that the Warriors do have the edge. But the Celtics shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with. Not in this game. I thought this was a great game for them to keep the Warriors at bay despite Steph Curry having the night that he had, because that's sort of been what the Celtics have been not allowing, but they're giving him that space, right? They haven't been they've been making sure that if it's Steph Curry killing them, that's fine, but there's nobody else. And in this one, I just felt like everyone sort of did their part and contributing to the offense that they needed to support Steph Curry's big night. Klay Thompson turned things around, and I feel like the booze in here just sort of like motivated him in some sense, hitting some big shots in that fourth quarter. But that doesn't excuse the Celtics for how they were doing things offensively.
No,
I mean, I just thought that it was just poor execution, man.
Fourth quarter down the stretch, we've seen it before. We've seen they almost they just freeze up, it feels like, in that fourth quarter. There's a lot of tweets going around on the performance. Forsberg had a good one, just basically summing up the last 7.5 minutes of this game. 6 points for the Celtics. You saw the graphic that we had in the last 7.5 minutes. They were up 91-85 before that. Tatum miss. Tatum layup miss. Smart layup miss. Smart hits a 3. Brown miss. Tatum miss. Smart miss. Horford miss. Horford hits a 3. Brown turnover that you mentioned.
That was after the timeout. Yeah, and then that was the huge turnover.
Then Derek White's miss. These are mostly 3-pointer shots, by the way.
Shocking, man. These were not good shots.
And again,
all. Some of them were, but not all of them. They were just running up there and chucking.
It's just like what they did in Game 3 was so different than what they did in Game 4. They were attacking in the fourth quarter of Game 3. They were instilling their will. They were being physical. They were the dominant team. And then as soon as they go down in the fourth quarter here,
hey, look at this dude.
John Zanis joining us. As soon as they go down here,
Took a little while.
they get into shot chucking mode. So everyone, John Zanis joining us here from the Garden. We have Josue Pavone at the Garden. I'm Jimmy Toscano from home court here. We got Bobby Manning, who should be checking in later, and I think Sherrod might be joining us.
Yeah.
I know he's at the Garden as well. John, what do you?
I know Josue's got some media.
John, we just lost your audio.
We had you for a second, and then
We had your audio, and then we lost your audio. Can't do it tonight. Can't do it tonight, John.
I'll kick it for a little bit.
Yeah. Josue, hang on.
I want to hear John's opening take.
I know. I think we all do.
So. Nah.
Still nothing. Yeah. He's gonna log out and log back in, I think.
Remember the first couple of shows, Jimmy? No. Just leave and come back. Trust me. Just leave.
You're not getting me?
We got
you.
you.
Now you're good. Now we got you.
Yeah.
I
think the wire. I think the cable just came out on the mic. My opening take. I mean, what Jimmy just said is exactly where I was going to go with the possessions late there, because it's exactly what you just described. It was. Shot by a non-shooter, shot by a non-shooter, shot by a non-shooter, shot by a non-shooter. It was just, it was all Horford
Panic
Smart.
mode.
Yeah, white threes.
But John, what drove me crazy was that it wasn't deep into the shot clock though. Like if it's deep into the shot clock, you take that. But they're chucking like 10 seconds in. It felt like
it was a bunch of things. What bugged me, it was that, but also it was they were walking it up. It was just everything was slow, and then you knew what was coming. You knew it was going to end up in Tatum's hands, and he was going to try to get into the lane. He was going to get, he was going to get swallowed up, and he was going to kind of release it to one of the non-shooters, and that's what happened. I mean, that you play to get the ball out of those guys' hands, and that's what happened. Ime said it in his presser. I don't know if you saw just a short while ago. He's like, just felt like Tatum's kind of doing the same stuff. He's, he was foul hunting. He's not going up strong. He could probably, recognize when he's getting a little bit too deep, pull up, rise up in the lane. We've been talking about that for how long, but like that shot stretch is number one. But I mean, I'm coming out of the gate, guns blazing on Tatum, because again, it's not just I know it's not just the Tatum game. It's the Tatum don't be horrible game. Like if Jason Tatum plays average, they win. You're watching the guy, the star on the other side, light you up for 43 points and 10 freaking rebounds. And Tatum played that poorly. I'm so perplexed by it. Just a rough effort, man.
We're perplexed by it, but we've also seen it before, and that's
and that's
the knock.
Kills you.
I know, that's the knock on Tatum is that he has these stinkers, man. And it's like I said it on the show. There was one superstar on the court tonight, and it was Steph Curry, and he put the team on his back. He did what he had to do to will his team to victory, and by doing so, he completely changed this series, the narrative of this series, the momentum, I'm sure the odds are changing now in Vegas and everything else. And he did it all on allegedly a bad foot. I'm not going to give too much, I'm not going to, go too crazy over that, but
he was fine.
Exactly. He was fine. But it's just the point that he was able to put the team on his back. The Warriors didn't, as a team, gave you every opportunity, the Celtics, to take a 3-1 series lead tonight. Draymond Green was, again, abysmal. I will say this, Wiggins and Poole did step up at points tonight. They had great games, and that was what the Warriors needed. But it was all on Curry, and he did everything he needed to do. He hit the shots that he typically hits in big situations, and the Celtics didn't. The Celtics went the opposite way. 6 points in the last 7.5 minutes. We've mentioned it on the show already a couple times because that's the story tonight is the fourth quarter collapse.
We said it. Yeah, it's the fourth quarter collapse. It's everything. But it was leading up to it. That's what kills me. Like I know you ran off those possessions late, Jimmy. But another thing that absolutely just kills me here is that possession where they had the ball, they got it off the Jaylen Brown turnover, and they give it up to Tatum, and he just dribbles, and they had a shot clock violation. That was the here comes the put your foot on their throat, extend the lead, and take off sort of thing, and they didn't. And it just you're right, and everything from that point on just absolutely went south. They scored like 2 points over 5 minutes. It was just a disaster. But it's the same. It's the same thing, man. It's the same thing. You know, we talked about Bullpet snuck up last time. He came over and he showed me his little thing about the email saying stop playing like assholes. That's what they do. They play like assholes down the stretch and they kill you. Like they do the same thing every time. It's the same formula. I'm tired of doing the show. I'm like, as soon as a couple more people jump on, we're logging off because it's the same friggin' show. It's the same.
I know. And it's so hard. And that's why anyone who says like, oh, I predicted this, or it's like, dude, you can't predict anything with
and
this
that's
team.
why when we talked about how do you feel about the next one, I don't know which team's showing up. And in fact, I was saying in the text thread, I think they're going to lose this one because I think they're going to get comfortable and I think they're going to play one of their bad games. And they did, and they still almost won it, which is insane to me. But in a game where Curry had 43 points.
And that's the difference between the Heat, right? Is that, I know Butler went off on a couple ones, but you can get away with taking quarters and halves off against a team like the Heat and coming back and winning it, or same with the Bucks. When it comes to the Warriors, you really just can't get away with that. They're too talented. They have one of the best players of all time on their team, and they're too experienced. And that's not to say that the Heat don't have experience or the Bucks don't have experience. They do. But the Warriors have been there so many times. Yep. And this is just another game going into a hostile arena. I mean, these guys are pros. Like, I know it is fun to be a fan and scream all those things and think that you're getting under these guys' skin. And to a point, I think that they did have an effect in game 3 against the Warriors towards the end there because it was unraveling for the Warriors. But I don't for a second think that the Warriors were overwhelmed by the environment in the TD Garden tonight. Not to say that
of course not.
It's not to say the Celtics fans didn't do what they needed to do.
It was loud.
I'm sure it was, but these guys, they get up, like they live for this stuff. Like they should feed off of it. It shouldn't be bothering them. If it's a close game, it's not something that's going to rattle them, and it didn't.
It's not, but it's not them. You don't worry. It's again, and I'm bringing Bobby here. It's not worrying about. It's not. You're not worried about rattling them. You're worried about giving up 16 offensive rebounds, turning the ball over 15 times, and absolutely grinding things to a halt in the half-court offense, and just horrible basketball, losing basketball. And Bobby, help explain before we get into all of the greatest hits, which was the fourth quarter. Tatum and all of the stuff that went wrong here. Explain to me what I'm missing here. Every single time when what does Rob Williams do on defense? Rob Williams is there lurking to help out and try to, swoop in and defend. Every single time Rob came help side to try to get a block, he altered a shot and it resulted in an offensive rebound and putback. Who's supposed to, what's supposed to happen there? How would they leave themselves so uncovered there? Like, is Rob supposed to be staying home? It happened over and over and over again. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, some of it was that. It was some cross matches in there when they were rotating out on Curry. I mean, they were under a lot of pressure defensively. I went to the defense too, just like you, though. Like, you missed shots late. It is what it is. You had good looks. You got stagnant. You settled for jumpers. It's going to happen. It happened in a devastating way late down the stretch of this game. But I thought defensively, just like you, giving up those offensive rebounds, giving up those timely shots where Curry shook two guys loose around the screen and really got some open space there, were a lot more devastating. And I think you hit at the first part of that. But the second part is the Celtics did start switching more, getting more aggressive up on Curry and opening up some of the backside to cross-match offensive rebounds. Second level scoring, like Green dumping off to Looney there. So they probably got a little too aggressive responding to Curry and some of the stuff he was doing because it let Wiggins get a good look late, let Looney get a good look late, and then one of them was just off a turnover. Wiggins missing his own shot and putting it back there. So you go to the turnovers, you go to a few late bad execution plays on defense, and you lose a tough one here, but I don't think this was a devastating loss. I mean, you gave up 40 points in 40 minutes to Curry. It's going to happen. It's just like Giannis.
I know, but it's like another
Butler.
It's another self-inflicted. You don't puke on yourself. Jason Tatum started the third quarter and the fourth quarter with a turnover. I mean, he started the third quarter with two of them. I mean, what?
5 quick points by the Warriors, like immediately to start that third quarter. It was like tie game, just like that.
What are you doing?
Yeah, there
I
was one
just
play too where Curry kind of got to his floater and kind of left Rob, and Smart fell on the screen. Rob got caught too high and got blown by. Curry was just incredible tonight. Best game I've ever seen from him, I think. That shot over White late, what do you do there? He was just unreal. And this is what you run into when you have one of the greatest players ever on the other side of some of these games here. He saved the Warriors here. Now, I still think there's a lot of concerns for Golden State, Jimmy. Clay's up and down, sporadic. He's getting some shots off now, but sometimes he looks like he forgot how to shoot on some of these attempts. Wiggins was great. I mean, this was definitely a bounce back game from him, but you're still struggling to play Green. Green gets benched in the fourth. I mean, he is just in such a terrible place now. The Bielitsa thing didn't work. You can't play Iguodala. You're still struggling to play Porter if you're Golden State. I still think there's a lot of things that make you feel good if you're the Celtics right now, despite a really tough ending to this game. Now, you don't want it to spiral into something worse, but just if you turn the page like the Celtics have here throughout these playoffs, I think you can bounce right back from this. I don't think there's anything you look at out of this game and say, oh, geez, the Warriors really figured them out there.
It's not that the Warriors figured them out, and to be honest, Bobby, that's kind of been the case all playoffs. I've never felt like the opposing team has figured the Celtics out. It's just that the Celtics continue to beat themselves,
Celtics can't figure themselves out. Yeah,
exactly. They can't figure themselves out. So at some point, you're going to play a good enough team like the Warriors who are going to take advantage of that. And the Celtics have gotten away with it up to this point. But what we've said numerous times on game nights or on off game night shows, you can't get away with stuff like that against the Warriors. They even when they're guys like a Draymond, like you mentioned, or Clay, whoever aren't on their game, they still have the ability to win because they know what it takes. They know what they have to do. And they have a guy in Stephen Curry who's going to go down as an all-time great, who's not going to let you get away with that. So I agree with you. I never felt like, oh, the Warriors have found something here. No, the Celtics missed shots. They turned the ball over. They allowed the Warriors life over and over and over again. And then they completely shit the bed in the fourth quarter down the stretch. And they started chucking threes, and they got out of everything that makes them a good team, especially on the offensive end. So they beat themselves in that sense. So now the momentum shifts a little bit. The Warriors take home court advantage back. Do I think the Celtics can win in Golden State on Sunday? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they win on the road all the time. But what does that mean? That they're going to go back again and lose again after a big win? Because that's the trend here. So as good as they've been after losses, they've been equally as bad after wins. So it's like you never know what you're going to get with this team. There's no consistency, and that's why it's so hard, Bobby. And I know that you teetered on the line of calling it over, but that's why it's so hard to call it over, because you just never know which team's going to show up. And that's why I just go Celtics in 7 and just pray that, they end up winning game 7. It could go either way because it's just such a flip-flop team right now. You never know which one's going to show up.
Yeah, for sure. Like the staying power, the carryover, as Ime calls it, is just not there, especially some of the habits and ball control stuff. And I thought they got away from the short roll Smart and White. White was pretty terrible on the ball in this game, wasn't he? So he wasn't an outlet for ball control. Brown was aggressive. I love a lot of the stuff Brown did, but it comes with sloppiness. And Tatum, just an unacceptable performance on the ball. I mean, some of those first half turnovers especially were just blind throws in this space. So I thought the Warriors did some good stuff. They put Green back at the basket late. Ime was actually saying in the presser a few minutes ago he wants to see Tatum get to the floater and mid-range pull up there because he's driving into a crowd where Green's just waiting for him. That's obviously what caused a lot of those kickouts, and I'm sure people were furious on the play where Tatum and Brown both got downhill and kicked it out to Smart. But Green was right there, and he stopped that action. He came in with some big late plays after he got benched there on the defensive end, and that is one thing that probably worries you, Golden State, is they probably want to put Green back in the post, playing off a guy like White or a guy like Rob so he can help, because he was getting burned by Brown again tonight on the ball. And they probably waited too long to get him off the ball. So that's one thing the Warriors did figure out tonight that was probably beneficial for them. But they still don't have lineups, I think, that fit together all the way. They still are struggling to get that number 2 option going next to Curry. Curry went all the way and carried them right through the finish line this time, which I was surprised because I didn't think he had the gas in him again to get through 40 minutes and score 40 points over that stretch. But he did it here while hurt. Remember yesterday we were worried about Curry being hurt?
I know.
Goes off one of the
I
best
didn't
games
buy
of his
it for a
life.
second. Yeah, I didn't buy it for a second. That's just posturing right there.
Oh, that last shot
he's a
on
killer,
White.
man.
I almost shot out of my seat. That was unreal.
Yeah, John took exception to that tweet. I don't know if you noticed.
I mean, that's just greatness right there. I mean, how do you not
I know,
get
but you
excited
don't
about that?
necessarily have to like get excited about it.
You don't have to go all caps on us.
You
like
got to
that.
read the room a little bit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like take it down a notch or two.
Yeah.
You probably lost a couple followers. No big deal.
One person told me they were unfollowing
well.
you, and I begged them not to.
I
I
begged
was like,
them
come on,
to.
don't do that.
Begged them
Yeah.
to do it, actually. John,
Yeah,
you good
I don't
over
know how
there,
much of that
buddy?
you heard, John.
I was in somebody's way because
I
they were,
saw it. I
they
could
were
see it unraveling.
they were clearing up, and I wanted to get out of there.
No,
so
they were in your way, buddy. They were in
honestly,
your way.
he was
They know you're
nicest
John
guy-
Here's my
Zanis.
thing, John.
nicest guy in the world, and he would have friggin' kept doing it. And he was like, I was like, do you mean to move? He's like, if you could, that'd be great. And he was just working. I felt so bad. I was in his way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
my
you're,
bad.
You're a good guy. You're a good guy.
No,
Not
he's
really.
John, I
a
don't
good
know how
guy.
much. I don't know how much of that you heard,
Quick
but I'm
shout
really
out
not
in
worried
case I
about
forget. I want to give a shout out to Calvin. People know him as Bread Thompson, working the garden here, working video. Stopped over. I was watching a little bit of the game in the concourse, Loge level. I was watching, just kind of standing and, by the side, and he came by. He's working the cameras, and he's like, "Yo, I watch you guys." And
Love
he
it.
said he's a fan, but he can't watch live because he's here at the game. So he watches a little bit on Rewind. I said next time jump in the chats, but I said I'd give him a shout out. So shout out to Bread.
Shout out Bread.
Bread.
What's up, Bread? I like
Calvin.
that name.
He
Bread.
was awesome.
It's our guy, one
You
of the biggest fans of the show.
I could tell when he was watching, he was like, "Hey, I watch you guys all the time," but he didn't say like, "I like you," and I was like, "Oh, he must be one of those guys that hates me," which is cool. I don't mind.
He watches. He hate watches. He hate watches.
Which some people do, and that's okay.
we'll take a hate. Listen, we'll take a hate watch.
There's no point. We're in this together at this point, so there's no hate. We're all feeling the same thing, and everybody right now is John Zanis. They're overreacting, right? They're freaking out. They're friggin' mad at Tatum.
Is this a
Like,
freak
that's
out
just-
game, John?
It is because the difference between 3-1 and 2-2 with having to win one game back over there is immeasurably different. This was an absolute muck job. And again, all you had to do was not puke all over yourself, and that's what they did. They were undisciplined, they were sloppy, they just forced the issue, they drove into nowhere. They just took horrible shots. The offensive numbers in the Celtics, we talked about how Golden State's having a difficult time navigating the Celtics defense in the half court. The Celtics offense was gross all game long, even when they weren't turning it over. They were terrible. They were terrible. And you see that stuff and you're just like, and it's like in moments like this, when it's going crappy, like thank God Marcus had that stretch where he settled them a little bit because everything was going bad. But moments like this, you're like, is this the time where Tatum's just going to start hitting everything and everything's going to be okay? Or is Jalen going to go on a 15-point run here in the fourth? Can somebody hold me and tell me it's going to be okay? But nobody does it. And
just screaming at the TV, being like, "All right, you be the guy now. All right, now you all right, be the guy. Come on,
and
save
instead
us."
they're
And then
whipping
it's
it around.
Rick.
Instead they're whipping it around, and you're getting Horford shooting threes with hands in his face, 4 feet behind the arc. It's like, that's just not it, guys. You got to do better than that.
Back-to-back
So
smart.
That's
Ricks.
what that's what's killing you here is you're watching it and you're like, at what point is top five Tatum, superstar Tatum, all NBA Tatum going to play even close to it? Even close to it, because he's not close to it at all. He's had a pretty poor series. And I know Bobby's had a couple games where he's had the right approach, but at the end of the day, he has not been a superstar. And you need a superstar performance.
Especially on that play late. I was talking to Jimmy about it. The one where Brown and Tatum got looks going downhill. I thought Brown made the right choice to throw out there, but Tatum definitely had a lane to the basket where he could take it. I don't know how much confidence he has in that layup right now. It's really been a tough shot for him in this series. Definitely some resistance in there. Green getting on that back line helped, but he's got to get a shot off somewhere. Like he just isn't finding spots to get quality shots. Hey, it's telling me there's advocating for the floater, for the mid-range pull-up, something to get him in rhythm and get him looks over the line of defenders that are in there for Golden State. But then again, I mean, isn't he hitting White for open threes and huge shots early in the quarter and making the right plays? And again, like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't with him. He passes too much late and he gets killed for it here. I thought they got decent looks late there. It's just too many jump shots.
Too many jump shots. There's nothing going, and I know we touched on it a little bit. Ime saying like sometimes he's got to create the best shot, and that best shot isn't well. I got swarmed, so I kicked it out to a non-shooter.
Smart,
deep behind the arc.
Always ends up in Smart's hands.
That isn't your best shot. Those aren't. Look, there's a time for those, but and again, they won you game one. So, but this is Draymond's kind of prophecy coming back. In game one, every one of those shots fell, but they're not going to fall from those guys. It just isn't going to happen. They just have to play better. They just have to. Your best players have to be better.
For sure. That's what we've been saying about Tatum all along. And it's funny, the way Curry's playing, it's like he's MVP right now, win or lose. People started debating the MVP. I don't think there will be an MVP on the Celtics, win or lose, with what he's doing right now. Again, he is carrying this team, and I just don't know if it's sustainable. Like, what he did tonight was absolutely ridiculous. 40 points in 40
It's sustainable
minutes.
because that's who he is. We've seen him do it a zillion times before.
I know, but without help,
it doesn't matter. It's what he's different. It's different. We've never seen anything like him, so there's no point. There's no reason to say, like, it can't be repeated. That's who he is. He's a freaking freak. He's incredible. So that's just what he does. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to tell you a little bit about our sponsor as well, because we got to pay some bills, and we need to get fresh. We need to get fresh for Game 5. We need a new outlook.
We need to get refreshed. Is what we need.
We need refreshed. HelloFresh.com/playoff16 is where you need to go to get home, basically restaurant quality food, ingredients, farm fresh ingredients, seasonal menus, whatever it is, just delivered to your doorstep. You don't have to go to the store. You don't go to restaurants because they're freaking crazy expensive right now. Let HelloFresh do all the work for you. Send you the food. Incredible stuff going on right now. Spring menu is what's cooking. We got a summer menu coming. You get 16 free meals if you go right here, HelloFresh.com/playoff16. Use the code playoff16 for up to 16 free meals. We were hoping today we would have 16 for 6W. We were hoping we'd be down to 1 today, but we're still at 2. But the deal remains the same. So once again, go get your HelloFresh. We're gonna get a little Sherrod Blakely. We get some Sherrod Blakely. Sherrod Blakely likes his help. I said HelloFresh and Sherrod appeared,
and then he disappeared just like that.
He'll get there. But that's what we've got. Again, please go check it out. Support our sponsors. HelloFresh.com/playoff16. Use the code playoff16 up to 16 free meals and 3 gifts. Good stuff there. So I don't know, guys. Like I said, I don't want to keep beating up Devious here, but where else? I guess another concern, something worth talking about for sure. Rob limped off and he called for a sub. I don't know if he came down weird or whatever it was. He played 31 minutes. They might have overextended him a little bit tonight. You do have the extra days off. He looked good early. I think he was having a tough time moving a little bit late. Might have gone to the well a little too often there. He looked fresh, but I mean, he did a lot of that stuff. He had 5 points, 10 rebounds in the first half. Was definitely both of his blocks was definitely all over the place. Like I said, that second half, I don't think it was for lack of effort, but I felt like every single time he went to contest something, it ended up in a bucket because somebody just cleaned up an offensive board. So he wasn't getting to the shots, even if he was altering them. And Golden State was still feasting with the 16 offensive rebounds. But I hope he didn't have a setback because you're right, Jimmy. He looked as good physically to start this game as he looked last game.
Yeah, which was a little bit surprising. I think we were all somewhat pessimistic that he would be at the same level as he was in Game 3 because he had that one less day of recovery. He was all over the place in that first half, doing the Rob Williams things. He looked like he was back, but you're right. Maybe they played him a few too many minutes, or maybe something just happened to tweak out there. I don't think it was against Rob's wishes to be out there. I'm sure he wanted to be out there and play and contribute in any way, shape, or form. And Ime was trying everything he could to get this team, back on track. But unfortunately, you're dealing with the situation where he's obviously not playing anywhere near 100%. And until he takes the proper rest in the offseason, I think we all know it's not going to happen to the offseason unless this was a serious, setback here, which hopefully it was not. Knock on wood that it isn't. It's just a situation.
We definitely hope not there.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to be. It's a day by day thing. We've said it all series, and he may said it. It's game by game, day by day, and I think when he was out there, he gave you enough to win. Like Rob was certainly not the issue tonight. He's very far down the list of reasons why the Celtics lost this game. It sucks that he had to leave, and you just hope that now they do have that extra day now, so maybe that will be the difference in him getting back out there.
Rob was a positive. They were benefiting from his minutes, sure. And he was.
You need to extend more through them tonight. And you looked at halftime. What were they at 5-ish? So you played awesome in that first half outside of the turnovers, and you didn't extend it all. You didn't build a lead. It's almost what other teams do against the Celtics there. They can't extend a lead and leave the door open late for the Warriors to blow through it. I'm looking through the second half notes on Rob. There wasn't a lot of good after halftime. Overcommitting.
That's what I mean. I just pointed it out.
Yeah. A little low on Poole on one play around the screen. A little low on Curry. Completely flat-footed on that play. And that's when I said, "Oh, is he slowing down here?" And I didn't want to tweet it because I didn't want to tweet that and then see him throw down a cockback dunk on the next possession. I want to see it a little more, but just kept slowing down. You see him get into that little jog, don't you? Like just kind of like the sprinter shuffle.
Yep.
Half-hearted.
You can see it.
He may probably pull him a little too late.
Yep.
I did love that pass to Tatum though. That was probably the last good look they got in this game. A really great look, and he did get fouled, I thought, and that led to the Wiggins run out. Tough no call there for them, but then they go in that settle mode.
We're gonna bring in Sherrod Blakely, Mr. HelloFresh himself, and Sherrod. We've been around the world and back again, and honestly, we're running out of gas.
Sherrod, tell us something good, man. Save us, man.
The game is over.
Yeah. That is good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
That is good.
I don't want to call it a choke job, but it was. They should have won this game. I mean, look, you literally had only one stretch all game long where your offense really bogged down. It just so happened to be from about the 5.5 mark to about the 1.5 mark at the end of the game where Golden State goes on a 10-0 run, and then it's a wrap. It's a wrap. The free throw shooting, the turnovers, and again, the overall turnover numbers weren't that bad. But again, the thing about the Celtics and their turnovers, they're bad because they lead to runouts. And that is just a killer for you in terms of scoring. It's a killer for you in terms of just momentum. It's just, this was a bad one. This was a really, and they've had some pretty gruesome losses in the playoffs, but this is a soul-snatching loss. It's going to be hard for them to bounce back in Golden State and win in the Bay a second time. But that's the only way this is going to extend. They have no choice. And the only thing that
this is how they've done it.
They won at least 2 road games in every single series.
Every series.
So in every series, they won at least 2. So it's not like
I'm not worried about them going on the road at all.
But that's not the recipe, though. That's not what you want to have to do, right?
I'm not so much worried about them playing well. I'm worried about them playing well enough to win. Because Golden State is going to be a better team at home. Jordan Poole is going to get out of the kiddie pool and back into the splash zone when he gets back home. I absolutely expect him to play better. Draymond is going to play better. I'm not sure what Steph's going to do at this point because he's been clearly the best player in this series. It's not even really close. He's kind of due to have one of those not so great nights. I don't think it'll happen. But the Celtics, they don't have a choice but to get it. They have to win. Game.
I don't know about the other guys, Sherrod. Wiggins gets going in this one, but you're really confident in Poole? Like, I know they forced him a few looks there, but he's still pretty low volume in terms of what he's doing here. And then
he's a coin toss.
I thought Thompson was terrible at times tonight.
Well, he was terrible at times, but he was money when it mattered in the fourth. I mean, he made big shots. And that's what the greats do. The greats can have a crappy line at the end of the night, but for those of us who watched the game, you realize they delivered when they had to. And the Celtics,
here's my thing, and John and I talked about this on one of our previews. The Celtics, they're frenetic, right? Like, they have the best version of themselves, and then you see the worst version of them late. But they know who they are.
That's a nice way of describing them, Bobby. They'll appreciate that.
They know who they are at their best and what they need to do to get there. the Warriors still even figured out what their go-to lineup is?
No, they're
go-to
still messing
approach?
around with it.
Like,
You know what's
it's,
interesting
yeah,
is you look back at this game, and there was that stretch when
They were
Draymond picked
yanking
up the second
Draymond.
foul,
Yeah.
and but it worked. I mean, they were a better team with
They were
Draymond
better
sitting his
without
ass on the
Draymond on the
bench.
floor. Yep.
That's how they got back into the game in the first half. They won, I think it was like 11-2
and that's a
run or
concern
something
too
like
for
that.
them. People were tweeting
Yeah.
out Ben Simmons. That was trending during this game.
It was.
Over that
I love.
layup
There was.
attempt
There
there.
was one where the Celtics fans goaded him into shooting at the top of the key because they were like, "He's not going to do it. Go ahead, do it. And he did. And he bricked it, and they went nuts. But like, it was basically a Ben Simmons coward chant that didn't have time to manifest, and he took the bait and he bricked it, and it was great. But yeah, he's a coward.
He was, but I mean, again, kind of like Klay Thompson. He was the best version of himself in the fourth quarter,
Like,
where he's got the
yeah.
ball moving. I think he had like 8 rebounds, 9 assists, or the other way around. But
Yeah.
his impact was undeniable in the fourth quarter, as was Klay, as was Steph. They went to the guys who've been there, done that before, to carry them over the finish line tonight. And if you're the Celtics, I mean, that's a major reason to be concerned about going back to the Bay.
Let me ask you specifically about Tatum, because there's no question Tatum needs to be better, and we know Tatum needs to be better. And Marcus Smart just said, well, he's in a slump and he's got to get out of it. But we ask this a lot. It's different because we see every game, every minute of every game, and you're more intimately aware and in tune with every single up and down and everything that your players, the players you cover, experience more so than other stars. It's a very common thing where you hear people say other stars don't do this, but maybe they do. We just don't see them as frequently as you see with Tatum. I still think it feels like Tatum's struggles are more profound in a way that and I'm not sure, because at the end of the day, the numbers are there, and he gets voted.
He's 27% from 2 in this series.
But he's a mess right now. He can't go to his left. He's dribbling into traffic. And so and it's not because they're doing anything exotic. He's just playing poorly, and it's hard to really finger why. I mean, you're a superstar, you're going to get attention. It's not the first time he's been doubled. He's been blitzed. People are pinching. They're coming in. There's help side. He's going to draw attention. That's what happens with superstars. There's tons of attention on them. People know where you are on the floor at all times. He's just playing bad.
Well, the problem, John, the problem I see with him is that it's not so much the attention; it's what he does when that attention levels out. That's the problem. Because I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job of handling the double teams and the blitzing and all that. He gets rid of the ball quickly, but those stretches where he has an ISO with, Steph Curry, and rather than shoot over, you're 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, and dude is 6'3" with maybe 6'5", 6'6". Why the hell are you trying to back down in the middle of the paint where you can just shoot over his little ass from the elbow? Why? I don't get that. And yet when you got Andrew Wiggins on you, you catch it real quick and then you raise up quick, even though you probably from a backing down standpoint might be able to score better. I don't understand some of the decisions that Tatum is making when he clearly has an ISO one-on-one advantage and doesn't make the logical decision, which if a smaller defender, you shoot over his little ass. A bigger defender, you try to take him off the dribble.
Is he caught in between? I mean, especially when he's hooking a pass.
Listen, he is another one, kind of like Derek White, who gets in that sassy zone, that shoot, pass, hybrid, where they kind of not really sure which to do. And more times than not, whenever you get caught in that zone, you're going to screw it up. You're going to make a mistake. You're either going to take a bad shot or you're going to turn the ball over and lead to a run out the other way. And we've seen a little bit of all that from Tatum and Derek Brown.
And he is taking some bad shots right now. And those turnarounds, Brown's taking them too, and he hit some tough ones, Brown. But those are
Brown's degree of difficulty on 3 or 4 of his makes were ridiculous,
But that's who Jalen is, though. I mean, Jalen is a bad shot maker. I remember years ago, an assistant coach said, the thing about like a Vince Carter, for example, yes, he can play above the rim, but if you really start charting the types of shots he takes, he's one of the best at making bad shots. Jalen is kind of like that. He takes a lot of bad shots, but that's kind of what he does. He's good at it. He's really good.
I cite this all the time. There was a 538 article, beginning, I think, or maybe during late last year, beginning of this year, Jalen Brown is basically exactly that. He's an elite bad shot maker. You know, he's taking the shots that everyone in the NBA tells you not to take, and he's making them at an astonishing clip. That's just what he does, and that's like a lot of those long contested twos. You know, multiple dribble. You know, as Bobby was charting earlier in the series, but.
Hey, I still like what he's doing.
But back to Tatum.
Yeah,
back to Tatum. Like what it's there was one point in the game where Marcus was barking at him to get back on defense. Again, I mentioned this on our show. I mentioned this on our show yesterday. You know, we didn't talk about it in the game 3 post game because it was mostly positive and Tatum had a positive effect on the game. But I watched him every single time he missed a shot down low in that game. He didn't get back on defense. And again, he's the last guy down the floor every time he misses. He just can't shake that. Like it's okay to play bad, but he can't get off that funk once it starts. It's on him all game long, even in his makes. When he finally makes one, he throws his hands in the air like, "Ugh, I got one." You know, every single time he gets nicked, he didn't get beat up a lot. There weren't a lot of things tonight where he had cause, you know, to call for a foul. And he's still looking for it at all times. He's foul hunting. Ime called him out on foul hunting. Game 4 of the finals, your coach is still calling you out.
It's sad, dude.
It's sad. It means like, come on, man. Like,
didn't we agree?
Be the superstar and just let it roll off you a little bit. But it just keeps going.
Ime must be
Didn't we
disgusted.
agree too?
I think he knows. I think Ime is both a little bit of I think he understands what he's got in both Tatum and Brown, just psychologically the type of things that they need to get them going. In some cases there's firm, but in other cases, times like this with Tatum, I think, you know, it requires a different type of attention. I think he knows that he struggles with this sort of thing. And I don't think he's just going to pull him into a room and just yell at him and, you know, you can act like a man, smack. You know, like I just don't think that's what he's going to do.
Even after one of those turnover stretches, he just kind of gave him a little pat on the chest, like encouragement.
Exactly. It's like it's more of an encouraged thing because it's like, come on, man, get out of this thing. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I am gonna hop in some more questions here. Joe Sway's logging in, so I'll be back.
Don't be stunned if there is no back because we
might be
wrapping this one up early because
again.
You got any final thoughts, Bobby, just in case you're gone? Or we're gone, I should say.
Yeah. I gotta really go back and watch this one. I'm gonna pull a coach there just because that end of the fourth there hit so fast, so hard. I thought they did so much good before that. I'm piling up like, oh man, the Warriors don't have answers stuff and they can't find their lineups and Brown setting it. It really just hit like a tornado, that bad stretch to end this. And that's why I'm not too concerned here. Like, I think Curry did some ridiculous things tonight. That white shot, especially down the stretch there. They did get to the backside, so there's a few things that they figured out offensively that concern you just a little bit. But overall, you defended well again. You scored on them for most of this game. You put Draymond Green on the bench, like Sherrod said, in the fourth quarter because he was just so unusable. And they're still searching. The Celtics know what it takes to win the series, and I think they can get back there.
They've known from day one, and honestly, they could have wrapped this thing up in 4 or 5 if they did. So it's which team shows up, Bobby. It's one thing to know it; it's another thing to do it. Sherrod, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that the Celtics have played good in this series. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But you know what? Good ain't good enough. You want to win a championship? That shit is hard.
Oh, and I was trying to get all 5 of us on, and Bobby popped out and just turned into Joe Sway. It just happened like that. Go ahead, Sherrod. Sorry.
Wow. Joe Sway with
that's crazy time.
The heavenly lights around him.
I think that's right.
No, they just you
like a
can't
hockey
just
sub.
play good. I didn't feel at any point that they played with a great sense of urgency in this game either. It was like they played good. If this would have been a nice, you win 65-70% of your regular season games playing the way they did tonight. But guess what? This ain't the damn regular season. This is the NBA Finals. This is just play. This isn't a play. This was an opportunity for you to put a stranglehold on Golden State. Put them in a situation that very few teams have ever come back in the annals of NBA history. And what did you do? You literally succumbed to all those bad habits that you have been trying to fight all season long. In that 3-minute window in the fourth quarter where you went from being up 94-90 to being down 100 to 94. And you got, a prayer three-pointer from Marcus Smart to make it a one-possession game. And you still couldn't build off the momentum that you should have got from that shot. So they got to do some soul searching between now and game 6 and 5 and really ask, I mean, do you really want to win this thing? Because playing good, it clearly isn't good enough. And I don't understand why, when you know you need to be great, why you aren't making the effort plays to inch you closer to being great. I don't see that from them in this game. I saw it in game 2. Or to game 1, and I saw it in game 3. They play more in game 1 than game 2. Game 3, that's a different story. Bottom line is they have to play better than what we've seen so far if they're going to win this thing. And I think they have it in them, but can they bring that out in time?
I mean, even if they go into game 1 Celtics, I think that should be more than enough, right, Sherrod? I just feel like this Warriors team they don't have a bunch of different weapons outside of Steph Curry to rely on offensively, but because of the defense, because when they get on the open floor, because guys can knock down shots, that's what did it for them, right? It was just enough from Klay Thompson, even enough a little bit from Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, man, what monster double-double. I mean, like, he's been pretty solid or consistent throughout, but he's your ideal third on a championship team. Klay Thompson, you got a good performance out of him again. This time it's a win. But you have to capitalize on the next game when he's not playing this way, right? Or when you have a double-digit lead and you got to protect it in the second half. I mean, like, that's what scares me because, again, we talked about this time and time again. The Warriors, they only need a few minutes to eliminate a 9-point, 7-point deficit. And when you have someone like Steph Curry on that end, it concerns me about the Celtics down the stretch because they just not battle-tested in that way in this series, right? It's been a blowout one way or the other. This game is the first one that we've seen that's gone down to the wire, and the Celtics just fell flat. When they needed to go on a run, when they needed to salvage this just to stay in it, they couldn't make a shot. So I don't even think they know what it is. Besides, like, the same old, the offense went stagnant. Everyone's looking at each other. I mean, Al Horford said the same thing, and Al Horford even joked, like, listen, we're not doing this on purpose. Like, we're not like. This isn't something that we're okay with. Like, we're trying to change this pattern, but for some reason, when we come out, when our effort after a win is just never the same than it is after a loss.
It's unbelievable. We're talking about Tatum's struggles. I'm going to play Marcus Smart. Here's what Marcus had to say about Tatum and what he's going through right now.
Jason's struggling to find his rhythm in this series. Do you guys, Marcus, are you talking to him, or is there anything you're saying to him?
Yeah, we all are. We just constantly, let him know, keep going. This isn't your first time being in a slump. It won't be the last time. You got to figure it out. We trust you. We believe in you. And this is what you made for, and Jason has to figure it out. We have to do a good job of helping him, but, him being the player he is, these are the moments where he has to come alive and he has to figure it out, and he will. We don't know when that is, but we're sure it's going to happen soon, and we're ready for it, and we're here to back him up.
I mean, I hear what Marcus is saying, and he's saying all the right things that your leader should say about your best player when your best player is not playing like your best player. Mm-hmm. But Tatum, the frustrating part for me in this series has been, if you really look at the shots that Tatum's getting offensively, this is in his wheelhouse.
They're makeable.
They're more than makeable. I mean, those misses at the rim, the wide open mid-range shots, the catch and shoot opportunities that he's getting where Wiggins is somewhere in the zip code, but definitely is not at his front door. He's missing a lot of those shots. There's no rhyme or reason to why that's happening.
Yeah,
none.
Almost all of them, with the exception of the turnovers and the forces, because I would say game 2 Tatum that was foul hunting like crazy. There was almost no chance of any of those shots going in. I think the degree of difficulty on them was so high because he was clearly foul hunting. Tonight he could have easily made all of those. I can't remember the last time he scored going to his left. It's everything is so weak on that side. He just can't finish. Missing around the rim. He has to be an elite finisher around the rim. If you're not an elite athlete and you're going to rise up and over people or bully them, with physicality, you have to be a creative, crafty finisher. And when he scores at the rim, he usually is. He's Euro stepping. He's doing stuff like that. He's using angles and he's getting there. He's just missing them right now. And Marcus, in the most polite way possible, clearly in that soundbite just said, he's got to man up. Like we support him and we expect him to, but at a certain point, he's got to be Jason Tatum, and we're ready for it, and it's going to happen soon. But there really isn't soon. There's now. You know, when will then be now?
Yeah.
Soon. You know, like it's now. It's
Right.
Soon has to be
What are
game
you
5.
waiting for?
there's no time for
There's
soon.
two. Right. There's 2
Yeah.
or 3 games left. Pick one. I
Yeah.
mean, that's how this is it. This is the finish line, right? And yeah, I'm with you on that, John. I just feel like the Warriors have done a good job in taking away those angles, but we've seen him capitalize, especially on the open floor, and those missed layups, and when the frustration starts to grow, you know, you can see it on his face. But I can't help but wonder what's going to happen, you know, after the big performance, right? Let's just go out and say, all right, Tatum's going to go off, whatever, you know, next game. But then what happens after that? You know, they're going to need more of Tatum, and they're going to need that consistency. They can't. I don't think the Celtics can survive another ice cold Tatum in this series.
That's
You
what
know,
I
is
mean.
that
It's
fair?
like,
I mean,
No, they definitely
I don't.
you talk about it like
I
in
don't think they
hockey,
can.
like you're waiting for the goalie to steal you a game. Like you need your star to steal you a game. This is in basketball. You got to have that Tatum game, the 46-point game where it's like everything fell, and you need you expect kind of one of those per series, and he's had them. He's had one per series.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. You know, I mean,
But it's always it's always in the later half of the series, though, right? Like it's rarely. Yeah.
They need their all-star MVP, you know, look at me, I'm top 5 guy performance. You know, can't be turnover Tatum. You need top 5 Tatum.
But you know what though?
Exactly.
Also Brown has been able to step up at points when Tatum hasn't been able to, and even he was cold down
He
the stretch
disappeared in
tonight.
the second half, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, he had that
so
stretch where he had those couple of tough buckets, those
He
tough
did.
makes there, yeah.
and you were in the fourth quarter.
I thought you were gonna say, well, that's what he does. So you know, that's what John's gonna say.
I think there were in the fourth quarter, we were all just looking for anybody to step up, and I think there were a lot of people that were probably saying, "All right, I'm done with Tatum tonight. Brown, do your thing, take over, pretend it's the first quarter, whatever you got to do, get aggressive, drive to the hoop, step back, take the 15-footer. You know, that's your bread and butter." And he couldn't do it either. So again, like we're criticizing Tatum as he should be, but a lot of people think Brown is the 1A to Tatum's 1. Some people think Brown's the guy to build around, and he wasn't able to step up tonight either. So again, it's like,
oh boy, Jalen quote.
You got a Jalen quote? What do you got?
Yeah, no, go ahead, Jimmy. It's okay. I always feel bad when I say that because I don't want you to stop. I just want to.
No. Like I was pretty much
like a
done. I
coming
mean,
soon.
it's a good segue to be completely honest.
Jalen quote alert. Go for it.
Come on, Josue. What you got, Josue?
It's a good segue.
I don't know why this question was even asked, but Jalen was just asked, "Do you believe you're the MVP of this series?" And he goes, "I don't know how to answer that question. Next question."
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Why would you ask that question
That's not as
now?
juicy as
Right?
I was
Because they
That's what I think.
they were chanting it.
Yeah.
That's why. And what I believe what they're trying to ask is, and
Are
it
you
would have
the
been
better than JT?
it would have
Yes,
basically it
yes.
would have been a relevant question. But what they're
If they won the game, it would have
what
been
they're
relevant.
passively trying to
Exactly.
ask there is the crowd was chanting MVP, and you've been kind of the better of the two Jays in this series. So
Right.
why do you think about that? But you got to leave that one on the cutting room
If he
floor when
says-
they lose
right,
the game
if he
because
says-
it's not going to
Yeah,
land.
that must have been a
If he
TV
says yes,
TV
it's
reporter.
gonna sound terrible. It's
Or
gonna sound
you
awful.
wrote it down in the third quarter and you
Yeah.
stuck with it. You know, like someone's just
Yeah.
got to crumple that up, and that's when
I mean,
you call the producer, and the producer's like,
Yeah, hold
No.
that story.
"Yeah,
It's
you're
like
gonna hold
they've
it."
got
only-
eight in a-
or call your
they've got-
editor. Just
Yeah, they've got 8 in the box, and you said, but damn it, we're going to run this quarterback sneak anyway,
Yeah.
even though we need 5 yards. We're still going to run it. They got 8 in the box, but we're going to
Yeah.
run it anyway. What the
You
hell?
gotta-
Let's just
you gotta-
see. Let's see what happens. Right.
You got to stash
Let's
that
see what
one.
happens.
There's not going to be a Celtics MVP. if they
smash
play
mouth
another one
report.
like tonight.
That's what we call that, Sherrod.
I mean, the only better answer Jalen could have had is, there's no MVP right now. We lost the game.
Jalen handled that the way he should have.
Yeah, it was fine.
Next
No.
question.
It was fine.
Right.
Next
Next
question
question.
means I don't respect you or that question, rather
Yeah.
than it.
That's
you
why
know.
you. Next
He-
question.
At least he didn't
I
go
don't know,
Draymond.
though.
He didn't go Draymond Green all over the question. At least.
Sometimes Jalen,
I'd rather do the polite thing.
Sometimes it's a hint to like, I'm not gonna say what you think I'm gonna say. I don't know.
Yeah,
But he did the right thing.
I think you should always be nice.
But you know what though? If going back to my point on Jalen, if he
Try
took
telling
the,
Draymond that.
if he took the reins tonight in that fourth quarter and did his thing,
Draymond's right over there.
he's a
hanging out with his kids.
surefire. He's a surefire MVP. If he could put the
Yeah,
if he could do it, Steph Curry did.
if Jalen
John, bring
would
him
carry
over.
them down the stretch, and they won the game, then yeah, then that question becomes relevant. Wait,
Hold on.
Doesn't he have the podcast to do? Isn't it time for the podcast?
Yeah, he's gonna jump on ours.
No, that's only after losses. Only after L's.
Draymond won't go live
okay.
though. He's a coward. He won't go live on a podcast like we do.
You hear that? Jimmy said you won't.
Wait.
No,
I'm the closest one to him. He's gonna come. He's gonna come.
Yeah.
He's gonna come and tune me up.
Yeah.
I don't want that smoke.
Let's get John punched tonight.
I don't want that smoke. Yeah.
Let's save the
No,
night
thank
for
you.
all of us. All
thank
Celtics
you.
fans can at least chalk it up to a minor victory if we get John punched by Draymond tonight.
No, we don't want that to happen.
He'll walk over and be like, "Well, if it isn't one of the top Celtics podcasts, the Garden Room,
Yeah.
imagine
You
know,
guys,
Celtics post
I
game,
know.
though, you guys.
I've heard
Real
of you
competitor.
guys.
The real
Yeah.
competitor.
Yeah.
Draymond
Yeah.
Green, 2 points tonight.
The over/under was 7.5, and that was like insultingly low. How many people hammered that? Like 7.5. Come on, he's got
So
to
many
buy.
I wish
people
I
in
would've saw
Boston
that.
made money on
I
that.
wish I would have saw that.
7.5.
Yeah, I would have played.
That's like walking down the street feeling, wow, damn, look at all this money just laying here on the floor. Pick that shit
That's
up. Let's
easy
go.
dough. Easy
No, are you
dough.
kidding? I think a lot of people hammered the over.
I had a
Oh.
pretty viral
You
tweet
think?
for me tonight.
Jimmy
Making fun of Draymond.
was viral
Oh,
all over
yeah.
the place.
That thing took
Dude,
off.
That's pretty viral for me. I mean, I think it would be viral
No, that's
for
viral
most
for
people.
anybody. Yeah. That's
Now
viral
it
for
is.
anybody.
But dude, if they won though, it would have really taken off. But all right.
What was it,
I
Jimmy? He's
said-
going to explode? Yeah.
I said Draymond's gonna use tonight's chance as fuel and drop 6 points.
He didn't even do that.
And he ended up with 2. But yo, I got 14,000 likes,
Yeah, I was gonna say anything once you
And,
get past
I don't know.
10,000, that's pretty good.
like 1,600 retweets. It was cool, I guess. I mean, it would have been better if the
That's
Celtics won,
funny.
but it was
That's
funny, but I overestimated what he could do, I guess. I guess the chance
Clearly.
didn't fire him up as much as I thought they would.
Tonight though was the loudest I've heard the Garden all year long. What do you think? What do you think, Sherrod?
Was it loud?
John,
Man.
both of you guys.
I said it was.
They were ready to explode.
I said it was-
They were ready to explode.
I said it old garden loud.
Bro.
It
Wasn't it?
was.
Oh, I don't know. What that's
Like
Old
It
Garden
was
loud.
like-
Oh, I couldn't tell you about that.
yeah.
What the
It was.
Boomers-
It was boomer garden loud. It was loud. Yeah.
And they still
It was
couldn't
no-
get
it was
the
no
W.
AC
Oh, we got
Garden
bots.
Because
bots,
all
boys.
of those moments. What?
Hey,
I'll handle
it's
this.
after
I'll
midnight.
handle this.
It's
I'll
after
handle
midnight.
this. Old Garden loud, huh? No
It
kidding.
was. It was real loud. I mean, you guys have been hearing more this year. I mean, I don't know if you've heard it this loud this season. This
No,
thing.
it's the loudest I've heard
was-
it all year long.
Yeah.
God, it's so disappointing, man. It's just so disappointing that you
I mean,
can't
if you're the
win.
Warriors, you did what you had to do. Like this is not. I mean, obviously, winning both games would be ideal, but this is the best you're gonna get, right? You split this. You're out of this environment. You're going back home. You know, you take that one. Then the Suns are their backs are really against the wall. And right now, I think the Suns their backs are against the wall for sure. Even though you know they're not down technically. Even though the series is tied, it certainly feels that way. The pressure's on them. So
I think both teams are in this really weird, awkward, comfortable with being uncomfortable state because they've both done some good things, but neither one of them, this series should be tied at 2-2 because neither team has shown the ability to take control of this series from the other. The Celtics have had their highs. Golden State comes back with their highs, and it's just been it's been like a tennis match, just back and forth.
right.
But I just, and again, I just keep coming back to the fact that it just feels as though the Celtics have more quantity that they can throw out there versus Golden State's quality. Steph is just a different kind of cat. But when you got Jalen and Jason and Derek White gives you a lift off the bench, Al Horford's knocking down key shots, you feel that the quantity that Boston can bring to the table at this point is a little bit more so than Golden State.
Yeah.
But again, Golden State, all they got to do at this point is just maintain home court, win at home, and they get the chip.
It's kind of all the Celtics. You know.
Yeah.
But
And the Celtics were right there for like basically 3 quarters and 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we'll go.
We're
back
gonna have
to-
a game 6. We're gonna
We'll
have a
go
game
back-
6 back in Boston.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little louder than game 4.
Yeah. Watch this again.
Last one, final home
We'll
game.
do some stuff, but yeah, we're back for at least 6. The finals goes at games, and obviously we'll be back for 5 and 6. So game 5 is Monday. We will be doing programming
If it's Monday,
over the weekend. Some of these guys are gonna take some time off. Bobby, I'm gonna pull him in here, and we'll rewatch the game. We'll take a look. We'll see what happened. We'll dissect it, and we'll talk some more. No, I always go home and I start watching.
Like Bobby is not rewatching this game.
I get as far as I can. But anyway, the one thing we didn't mention, I wanted to point out real quick. Derek White looked like somebody forgot to give him the playbook tonight. He looked like he was completely out of sync with the rest of his team. I don't know if you mentioned that at any point in time, but it was weird. Normally he just kind of, things just kind of flow through him pretty easily, and he just looked, like I said, that's the best way I can put it. He looked like someone didn't give him the playbook. There were people barking at him to move a couple of times.
Yeah, he may pull him aside.
What happened? Did Derek White forget all the plays, Bobby?
He was rough. Yeah, ball.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I feel like he was ever in control.
But I felt like he wasn't connected to anyone else on the floor at any point in time. He'd be driven. What's he doing now? Or people would be moving around and he wouldn't be doing it. And they're like, "Are you going to do something too?" It totally was disconnected from the rest of the offense.
The one
and he missed all his bunnies too.
Yeah, he did.
One thing Jalen just talked about was lack of spacing, and you certainly saw that late.
They were running into each other.
And on the kickouts, not being ready to shoot. And Smart was on the take those, but extra passes to, wind down the shot clock and get themselves into trouble. They're lucky Smart hit that bomb with 1 second left on the shot, but you probably want to look at a different lineup late, maybe, but you didn't have Rob as an option. You got your two guards out there. You're probably not going to play Pritchard, so that is the closing lineup with the two guards. It's been good a lot of the time, but spacing wise, it wasn't great there late.
Yeah, so it is what it.
They have a
Bobby. Anything in the pressers? You, Bobby and Josue. Anything worthy of noting?
He just told you what Jalen
said. If he was MVP.
Pay
that
attention.
was unreal.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I reported
I couldn't believe that.
That's how
Josue reported that. Yeah.
Come on, what else you got, Bobby? I think the one thing.
Josue.
I just told you.
It's like one of those aggregator. Yeah, those aggregator sites that are like Jalen Brown was asked MVP according to Josue Pavone of CLNS Media, because that just happens to be where I saw it.
Good report.
Yeah, I mean you were in the other players, Josue. I don't know what Al and White and Smart were talking about.
Yeah, no, I was just telling them how I was just saying look, we don't do these things on purpose. Going out there in that fourth quarter and everyone going stagnant on offense. I mean, he just felt like there was a lot of looking around and ball watching.
So that's what bugs me is at the worst times with this team, I always feel like everyone is waiting for to make a play. And instead of
it's in those situations though, John.
Instead of I'm gonna make the play. And Jimmy's right. Jimmy says this all the time. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Or Bobby's pointed it out as well. You get on Tatum for passing too much, and you're like, and then he forces the issue and he turns it over. You're like, why did you force the issue? I guess what I want him to do is just take the ball and score. Maybe that's asking too much, but you're the alpha. I want those Neek Bird games. He scores and then he scores and then he scores, and we've seen them before. I just want you to go hit the shots. Just go score. I don't care how you do it. I want you to take bad shots and I want them to go in. That's at those points. That's where those guys earn their money.
It's funny though, isn't he losing?
When everything goes
isn't he losing points on the easy ones?
He's losing them on the easy ones. That's what kills you. And then he's not heating up at the time where you just need him to go unconscious. So he's killing you on both ends there. Because he's not going out of his mind and just going on one of those heaters. He's also just smoking bunnies left and right.
And those just kill you. You talked about that.
And there's 4 and 5 points every time. It's like a turnover. He gets so deep, he falls because he's foul hunting sometimes, or a little bit of contact knocks him off. He gets frustrated. He takes seconds to get back, and it turns almost every time the trail guy ends up with a three, or it goes up. It's as bad as a turnover when you miss those layups.
Gotta get back.
He doesn't get back. He gets so deep, and he goes down, and he gets flat front, and he jogs back every time. Killer. those are killers. But I mean, at the end of the day, you want him to just be awesome. Like that's what you're there for. Otherwise, you're Wiggins or Poole. You're just one of those guys. Like just be.
Wiggins was great tonight.
I know, but what I'm saying, you're either that guy, who does that, who takes control, and gets you the buckets when you need them, or you're not. So kind of time to, like I said, you need that. You need your Tatum game. It's got to come. Good time. Game 5 is a good time.
Yep. All will be forgotten.
I think we agreed.
Forgiven.
It was when he had his 46-point game. He hadn't been playing well, and then
what
boom.
he's capable of. Yeah.
I think one thing we agreed on. I think one thing we agreed on coming in was that Tatum was the better player of the two, and hasn't held out to be true.
I mean, he's not really, but he was this year statistically.
Yeah, right.
But at the end of the day, is anybody going to say, if I want somebody to have the ball in their hands late, it's going to be Tatum over Curry? I don't think there's a personal way of that. So, I mean, we got to be real. Like,
that's not even a knock on Tatum.
It's not a knock on Tatum. Tatum's a different. I mean, Curry is a different dude.
Right. But it's got to be closer. Brown's probably closer to him right now than Tatum is. We said it during the year. You can nitpick this and that about Tatum, but he's just got to be better. That's what we said to start the year. His turnaround kind of jump-started the team's turnaround. His approach, I think, kind of carries down the roster in terms of how they're reacting to officials and stuff. He's setting the tone for the ball movement and how effective they are at limiting turnovers. I mean, he was just dreadful. And that second quarter, I think, was the one where he just threw the skip pass away. He got in the lane and just threw it in the traffic. Two of the worst turnovers of the night came from him back to back. So wasn't a great performance from him. Certainly not.
We're not. We're done. We're done. I'm not even doing final thoughts. We've said it all. We said game 5 Monday. It's the weekend. Enjoy your weekend as best you can.
We got to get out to San Fran.
Would have been a much better. I'm not going now. I'm canceling my trip. I was going for a clinch, and I'm not going now.
John's
24-hour cancellation. John,
just like that.
Cashing it in.
We'll book it for Game 7 though.
Yep, we're rebooking for Game 7 just in case, and we'll see what happens there. But we will wrap it here. We're done. All
right, fellas.
Bobby, I'll be hitting you up. We'll be doing a garden report at some point for the peeps. Anyone else wants to join, by all means. But if not, enjoy your weekend. Fans, enjoy your weekend as well. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. We want to give one final shout out.
One more HelloFresh.
To our HelloFresh.
Goodbye, Fresh.
Our friends at HelloFresh stuff. Sherrod, how was the meatloaf? Did you have it? It's good.
How many of the 9
It was good.
They have more than meatloaf,
good.
But you might not need anything more than meatloaf.
I heard they have more than meatloaf, but I'll just cross that bridge when I come to it.
Yeah. When they run out.
Yeah, you can customize your menu and get seasonal options. You can also get just meatloaf, delivered to your door 16 times, and that's what they do. 16 meals, 16 up to 16. Free meals if you go to hellofresh.com/playoff16. So please visit this URL, hellofresh.com/playoff16. Use the code playoff16, up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Once again, the Celtics lose.
They
lose to the Warriors 107-97. The series is tied at 2. We are going back to Golden State. It is now a best of 3.
Nothing's easy.
Game 3. Nothing is easy, but would it be the Celtics if it were easy?
Nope. Not this team.
7-7-7. Everything goes 7. With Celtics in 7, and I'm sticking to that. They lose Game 5. Win the next 2.
All right.
They lose Game 5. Wow. That's some adversity.
What? Is that what you said?
Lose Game 5.
Crazy.
Win the next 2. Good night,
I
all.
like it.
That'll be dramatic.